Hi there, Sue Neal here with the Full Circle Business, and I'm coming to you with episode 2 of Women for Women in Business. And today I'm excited to introduce you to a dear friend, Karalynn Cromeens, who actually is like me, has dual careers. She is the owner and founder of the Cromeens Law Firm and also the Subcontractor Institute. So with that, I'm going to ask her what she does and why she does it, and let her tell you a little bit more about herself and how she got into the industry. So Karalynn, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Karalynn Cromeens, and I grew up in the construction industry, similar to you. I worked for my uncle's businesses as subcontractors. My grandfather owned an excavation company, and actually, when I was young, his excavation company went out of business because he wasn't paid on a few projects. And the things I know now could have saved that business. And so then later on in life, my husband and I started a material supply company together, which is still in existence. And so I learned that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, to start a business from the ground up, and how much that deserves to be protected. So the family business aspect and then starting my own really gave me a unique perspective on how much, in my law degree, and how much people in the construction industry need legal advice, but in a way that's practical, that they can understand, and the customer service that they're trying to provide their customers, that they get from their lawyers. So like for us, it's 24-hour return phone calls, and making the decision about litigation or whatever that's best for the client and not for the law firm that bills by the hour, right? And so we offer a bunch of different flat fee pricing and things that are really affordable for people in this industry, because what I'm trying to do at the end of the day is save the family business and help them grow and expand. And so that's why I wrote a book called Quit Getting Screwed, which is all about commercial subcontracts. And at that same time, I founded the Subcontractor Institute, which is a free educational resource that has like 80 free forms, all about commercial contracts, commercial subcontracts. It also has the rules for all 50 states on how to file a lien, which is another huge important part of being in the construction industry, is getting paid. And so really, and then the Cromeens Law Firm is my full service law firm. We work in all 50 states. And really on there's a bunch of great blog articles on residential construction, commercial construction, warranties, all of the things. There's like 3 or 4 years worth of blog articles that you can find a lot of great information for free. So
the subcontractorinstitute.com is where we're going to get started and to take a look at it. I think it's really cool too that you cover all the states, as I know it's a little different everywhere. So that makes it easy for people, that they know that you can deal with, whatever they have that they need to go through. I know that getting paid is important when you're in the contracting world, for sure, and once the work is done, there's not much you can do to undo it. So, knowing what your rights are, and, hopefully you don't have to go down that road, but if you have it lined up and ready to go, that makes a big difference too. So you don't kind of get stuck behind the 8 ball. Yeah.
So, and having it planned out before, if you don't pay me by this date, here's what we're going to do. And it's just what happens. Right. It's nothing personal. It's just the process. And I find the more consistent you are in your processes, obviously, the more
speaking my language,
cash flow.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people all the time too, is like, set up your systems and processes and you train your customer, and then they don't question you, because this is how we do it, So, and I tease, like, every time we skip a step in the painting business on something, you come back to bite you later on, So I'm like, I don't care if he's your best friend. This is our process. This is how we work. You got to be consistent with everything.
Absolutely.
So, and story of how we met. So Carolyn is a fellow contractor fight coach. And last year, it is now April of 2022, in September, we were both at the Mile High Profit Conference. And she asked me my very first question when I was on stage, as I was talking about my circle and the whole systems and processes. And it was not pre-planned, but thank you very much, because she asked me, how do you go through this and who do you include? And so it was one of those things where it was perfect, because I was able to say, I'm going to get to that. And so we built into, answering that question by the end of the talk. And kind of connected afterward. I've been on her podcast and listened to, like I said, the Quit Getting Screwed is the book, and the podcast. But just kind of, I feel like we clicked pretty much right off the bat, and have that same kind of, how can I be helpful? How can I be consistent? We both have a lot of free stuff on our websites, so make sure you go and take advantage of that. I'm getting better at, drawing the line between free and paid consulting now. But yeah, so we I think, like you said, kind of clicked right away and have that same kind of focus and mentality of, I think you said protecting those family businesses and the legacies of, ours and others that are in the trades as well. So,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
on that note of helping others, what does your ideal client look like, or what's a good fit look like for you? So I know in my world, I really like things to be a good fit both ways so that, everybody benefits and you have a good working relationship. I think we've all had those times when you've had the not so ideal customer that you've had to work through. But I think ultimately, and nowadays there's, a ton of consultants you can choose from, but finding the one that fits best with you, I think is really critical for success. So what's a good fit and an ideal customer look like in your world?
Absolutely. A mid-sized family business is perfect. I work in both residential and commercial, and I find that usually you're one or the other. Usually you don't do either or. And so like on the residential side, the ideal customer, I'm helping them with their contracts, right? And then if they have situations that come up, they'll call and we'll talk through their options. And so somebody that's willing to listen to my advice, too. And then on the other side too, once you hire me as your attorney and I'm working, like pick up the phone when I call you, right? You're paying me. Why not answer the phone when trying to help you here. And then just being mutually respectful, right? I respect that you have a very important job to do, and so do I. And I'm trying to help you, and just working together as a team, and really helping them build a better business, and that they're not afraid to ask me any questions. And I'm really here to help. And so that's kind of my ideal client. I've had to fire some clients in the past that weren't that way. And so I've kind of really learned that the communication is key on both sides, right?
Yeah.
If you have a question about something I've done, I want to tell you why. And if I have questions for you, because I have, that you'll respond to me as well.
Yeah, and I found so all of the women that I'm going to work through with the Women for Women in Business series are people that I've worked with myself in one or other or both of my businesses. And like you said, it's really about, having that good solid relationship. And um, also I've found that now people are getting kind of more segmented and kind of have a niche. So like you said, your niche is in the contracting world. So like there are a ton of lawyers. We have a business lawyer for our painting business and I use him for the consulting as well. But for you being specific in the contracting world, is really different than just trying to go find the lawyer, then hope that they know what they're doing. So I think most of the women that I've met along the way in the last few years with, launching my business and doing some other stuff with the painting business are all very kind of niche. And it means that they have a level of expertise that, is on point, so you're not worried about, a lawyer that doesn't do this all the time. It says, yes, I'll take care of it and doesn't really know the ins and outs of it. So I think that matters too, is finding someone that really understands. I tell my clients all the time in the contracting world, like, remember that you're the expert. So they customer hired you because you're the expert. They don't remodel their kitchen every day. So they don't know what to look for and all the ins and outs. So finding other experts that are in that space every day and know what to look for and, the red flags, I think makes a big difference. Which leads me to the final question is, what would be one or two, if there's more than one, tip that you would give, general contractors, things you've seen kind of repeatedly in your years in business that kind of people miss or forget or get tripped up on? Is there something in particular that you would tell people to make sure they kind of pay attention to in terms of protecting themselves and their businesses?
Yes. So rule number one, and it's got two parts, is
Okay.
always have something in writing when you go to work, right? And so if you're a residential contractor, you want to have something in writing with your homeowner client saying exactly what I'm doing in plain English as possible. So they understand, because it's really about managing expectations. That way you don't end up in litigation later on. And so stopping it on the front end. On the commercial side of that, just as much as the homeowner needs to understand the contract on the residential side, you, the commercial contractor, need to understand the contract you're signing. So have your contract reviewed. Like what we do is we go through and we highlight and we point out all the risks, and then you can decide which risk you want to take and which ones you don't. But at least you understand what you're signing, because just like a homeowner not understanding the contract, if you go into a commercial contract and you don't understand, it's a very dangerous place to be. And then on the second part is collections, right? And so, Not so much on the residential side. Occasionally it can be an issue with a high maintenance homeowner. And I have some great articles on that. But on the commercial side, every state has lien rights, which gives you huge leverage and helps you get paid, because cash flow, especially getting paid in the construction industry, can be a pain. And so knowing your lien rights and knowing what that means is huge leverage, and can help your cash flow and everything else in your business. So those are kind of my two major points for my clients.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I talked about that in one of my other kind of coaching sessions, is the difference between revenue and cash flow. So you can make a whole lot of money, but if it's not coming in on a steady stream, you have all these peaks and valleys, it can be really hard to manage your business successfully. So, making sure you have, and we're really good at that. We have very clear payment terms. We put them on the estimate. We tell you when you book the job, and, we follow through with them. And that allows for, like I said, that steady income across
Instead of
the
peaks and
board.
valleys,
Yeah.
we're doing a job, we're getting paid, and this is how it's going to go, as opposed to all over. So absolutely.
Gotcha. All right. Well, and so tell me again, where is the best place for people to find you if they want to learn more? I know you've got a podcast, you got a book, you've got websites. So give us the rundown on where we can come and take a look for you.
So the podcast of Quit Getting Screwed is free. Obviously, you can reach out at Subcontractor Institute or the CromeensLawFirm.com. You can schedule a consult to talk to me. There's no charge. And usually mostly I can help people without ever having to hire me. So, but I'm here if you need help.
Gotcha. Well, it was great to chat with you, and we'll see you again in September in Denver again. And I hear you're going to be on stage this time.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I'm
I'm
excited to be on the other side of the audience. It's still nerve-wracking. I'm like, I've been doing kind of, presentations and talks for probably at least 10 years now, but that first 60 seconds still gets me.
No,
So,
I'm with you. It takes a minute.
yeah, but they said if you're not nervous, that means you're kind of like, it's not so good to not be a little bit nervous, at least, ahead of time. You may be like kind of a little overconfident if you don't have a few butterflies before you get started. All right. So again, Quit Getting Screwed is a podcast you can look up. It's also a book that you can find and buy if you're more of a reader like I am. The subcontractorinstitute.com, which is where a lot of the free resources are. And then the CromeensLawFirm.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Is also where you can connect and schedule that consult if it's something that feels important to you. And I think I tell people all the time too, like, just do it anyway, just to kind of, get those basic questions answered and make sure you're not missing anything. And you're not waiting until it's an issue to talk to a lawyer, kind of, just make sure you know what your rights are and what you should be covering. Our estimate's really clear that when you sign the contract, it also says underneath that you're accepting the payment terms, which are listed right there. So, you kind of, there's some little things that you can usually do that could make a big difference down the road that you may just not have thought of. And so checking in with an expert can be really helpful in addressing those things before they become trouble.
When you got somebody to call when an issue does come up, because like if you're in the middle of the issue, trying to find somebody that's qualified can be very taxing.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, it's great. I think that you cover all the states and, all the laws. Good for you. I don't envy that. We are licensed in 3 states, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey. And I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to New York. I've had enough. So thank you again for being on. Again, Women for Women. And we're going to do this every month until I get through my list of, women that I know and trust and would happily refer within other little niches in the industry. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for a future episode.
Awesome. Thank you so much.